The first crack appeared where no crack should have existed, between two stars separated by millions of light years. In 2026, rogue astroarchaeologist Dr. Elias Venn found it inside deep space images that major observatories had dismissed as calibration noise. Years earlier, his claim that astronomical anomalies might preserve evidence of ancient craftsmanship had destroyed his reputation and cost him his university position. Now he worked alone, surrounded by discarded data and instruments nobody considered important. Venn was no longer searching for extraterrestrial life. He was searching for construction signatures, repeated geometry, material boundaries, stress patterns, and structural shortcuts that natural astrophysical processes should not produce. Across unrelated nebulae, he discovered matching discontinuities in polarized light, gravitational lensing, and spectral emissions. Each anomaly appeared at the same relative angle, like sections joined by an uneven weld. He tested different instruments, wavelengths, and archived missions, expecting the pattern to disappear. It returned every time. When he mapped the anomalies together, the apparent seams converged toward one ancient junction hidden beyond the visible structure of the sky. Its surrounding light showed thermal scars and spreading deformation. Whatever had connected those regions had been assembled under pressure, and one of its unfinished joints was now actively failing. The person sent to disprove Elias Venn was Dr. Lena Ward, a spacecraft structural engineer who had spent 20 years studying how pressurized vessels failed. She arrived expecting manipulated data and found something far worse. A fracture pattern she recognized. The luminous seams did not resemble geological boundaries. They behaved like stressed joints. Their distortions followed the sequence Ward had seen in fatigued hulls: thermal cycling, trapped residual stress, microscopic cracking, then propagation through the weakest repair. Venn called the junction an archaeological site. Ward called it active damage. Their disagreement sharpened when she reconstructed the seam's history. Earlier sections were broad and carefully joined. Later ones became uneven, overheated, and increasingly desperate. Whoever had built the structure had not lacked knowledge. They had lacked time. Each successive weld showed worsening conditions and fewer materials. Ward understood the implication because an engineering shortcut had once killed 3 technicians under her supervision. Since then, she had trusted failure patterns more than official explanations. As she prepared to confirm Venn's evidence, a pulse entered the damaged junction. The fracture brightened, crossed an impossible distance, and reached a stellar system. On their instruments, its star did not explode or collapse. It simply disappeared. The vanished star forced observatories to acknowledge Venn's discovery, but recognition brought control. Within hours, the International Astronomical Authority sealed ENV-01's confiscated data and ordered the researchers silent. Officials called the disappearance sensor failure. Ward knew better. Telescopes had recorded the same absence. Before access was terminated, Venn copied the fracture's propagation sequence onto an isolated instrument. The pattern revealed that the pulse had not destroyed the stellar system. It had disconnected it. Light, gravity, and every measurable signal had been severed at once as though a damaged panel had fallen from a larger machine. Ward traced the energy backward through the unfinished junction. The structure surrounding their universe was distributing stress across countless seams, redirecting catastrophic loads away from older sections. Their region was not the center of anything. It was a late addition, attached with inferior materials during an emergency. Then the isolated instrument detected another pulse forming deeper inside the network. This one was larger and moving toward the Milky Way's seam. The shutdown began erasing their displays. Then looked at Ward and understood the choice. If they surrendered the evidence, humanity would remain calm for 3 days. After that, the sky itself would begin coming apart. Ward refused to wait. Using the isolated instrument, she calculated where the advancing pulse would strike the Milky Way's unfinished seam. The impact point lay beyond conventional observation, hidden behind a region astronomers considered empty. Venn suspected the emptiness was deliberate. If the builders had concealed a junction, they might have left access systems nearby. Together they redirected an abandoned lunar interferometer toward the coordinates while authority officers approached ANV-01. The resulting image transformed darkness into architecture. Beyond the stars stood an immense maintenance corridor, visible only where cosmic dust touched its boundaries. Broken conduits crossed distances measured in light years. Dormant machines surrounded a circular mechanism, aligned with the approaching pulse. Ward identified it as a load transfer gate, a device designed to isolate failing sections before damage spread through the larger structure. But its control network was dead. Activating it required a repair command written in the builder's structural language. Venn compared the gate's geometry with the repeating seams and discovered the weld patterns were not merely construction marks. They were instructions. Outside, the laboratory doors began opening. Inside, Ward translated the universe's scars into a machine command that might sever humanity from the coming collapse or erase it completely. The authority officers entered ANV-01 as Ward completed the translation. Venn raised his hands, but the isolated instrument continued transmitting. Across the projection, weld marks rearranged into a sequence of structural commands. The load transfer gate responded. Blue light moved through its circular frame, awakening machines dormant longer than Earth had existed. For one moment, Ward believed they had succeeded. Then the gate rejected the command and redirected the approaching pulse toward 3 neighboring seams. The builders had designed no rescue system. The gate preserved the greater structure by choosing which attached section to sacrifice. Authority Director Soren Vale ordered Ward to stop. Disconnecting the Milky Way, he argued, might save humanity from the fracture but imprison every star beyond measurable space. Venn noticed something worse. The 3 alternate seams contained galaxies. Their signals formed mathematical patterns, evidence of civilizations attempting the same repair. Activating the gate would not merely protect Earth. It would condemn 3 inhabited regions in humanity's place. Ward studied the unfinished welds again and found a missing interval repeated throughout the junction. It was not damage. It was an empty command field, left for engineers to complete under pressure. Someone had expected them to make this choice. Ward had minutes to complete a command. 3 endangered galaxies pulsed through the projection, each signal repeating the same refusal. Choose someone else. Vale demanded disconnection. Security moved toward Venn, but he enlarged the unfinished junction, revealing the missing interval. Its dimensions matched neither language nor mathematics. It matched a structural gap. Ward realized the builders had not left space for a decision. They had left space for material. The gate required a new load path capable of absorbing the pulse without sacrificing another region. No cosmic seam could survive it, but the Milky Way's unfinished weld contained exotic matter along its boundary. If redirected, that material could form a temporary brace. The operation would protect all galaxies, yet the brace would last only seconds. During that interval, someone had to enter the maintenance corridor, reach the gate's control core, and complete the transfer manually. Venn volunteered before Ward finished explaining. She refused. His knowledge could interpret the builder's geometry. Hers could repair their machine. The approaching pulse advanced, turning the laboratory windows white. Ward entered her command. Across the darkness, the hidden corridor opened a passage toward the gate, and a journey no human body was designed to survive. Ward expected the passage to behave like a tunnel. Instead, it folded distance around her. One step carried her beyond the laboratory. The next placed her inside a corridor larger than planetary orbits. The temporary brace shimmered beneath her boots as electric blue matter hardened into a narrow path. On both sides, fractured space revealed galaxies suspended like components behind transparent walls. Venn guided her through the isolated instrument, translating the builder's geometry into directions. Every transmission arrived distorted, stretched by the collapsing junction. Ward followed broken conduits toward the gate while the pulse consumed the brace behind her. At the control core, she found no console. Thousands of mechanical ribs surrounded an empty chamber shaped around a human-sized absence. The machine did not require commands from a distance. It required an engineer to become part of the load path. Ward connected her suit to the nearest conduit. Instantly, the stress of countless seams passed through her nervous system as light, heat, and impossible pressure. She saw the structure's true scale and understood why its builders had vanished. They had not abandoned the universe. They had entered its failing joints, one by one, and never returned, to keep creation from collapsing. Ward could no longer feel the corridor beneath her. The gate had converted her heartbeat into a structural rhythm, carrying the approaching pulse through nerves, suit, and machine. Every failing seam appeared inside her mind as a line of fire. In ENV-1, null 1, Venn watched her vital signs merge with the gate's energy pattern. Vale ordered him to terminate the connection before it killed her, but Ward's voice arrived through every speaker, fragmented yet deliberate. The transfer was still incomplete. Ward sent the pulse into the brace, but the structure rejected it. 3 galaxies brightened again. Venn recognized a pattern in her neural readings. The builder's engineers had never worked alone. Each was anchored by another mind. Venn connected the isolated instrument to Ward's signal, allowing his interpretations to stabilize her choices. The gate accepted the paired cognition. Mechanical ribs closed around Ward, not crushing her, but holding her where the universe's weight could pass through. The pulse struck. Every star vanished for one terrible second. Then light returned. The 3 galaxies remained connected. The Milky Way's seam stopped widening, and the gate sealed itself. But Ward's chamber stayed closed. Venn called. the universe answered with her heartbeat again. For 11 minutes, Ward's heartbeat continued inside the sealed gate while every other signal remained silent. Venn refused Vale's order to disconnect. He compared each pulse with the builder's well geometry and discovered that Ward was no longer trapped in one chamber. The machine had distributed her consciousness across the entire junction. Through her senses, she could feel distant seams flexing around galaxies. Some were stable, others carried ancient fractures hidden beneath layers of emergency repair. The crisis had not ended. The pulse had merely exposed a chain reaction already moving through the structure. Ward transmitted images instead of words. Abandoned gates, extinguished corridors, and thousands of empty engineer-shaped chambers. Then she revealed one functioning pathway leading beyond the known network toward the structure's original foundation. There, something was still generating the destructive pulses. Venn understood that the builders had not failed through age or accident. A force inside the foundation was deliberately removing later additions, beginning with the weakest seams. The Milky Way had survived only because Ward had made it appear structurally essential. Her heartbeat changed into a countdown. The next pulse would arrive in exactly 47 hours, and this time it would target every repaired junction simultaneously. 47 hours became humanity's universal deadline. Vale released Venn's evidence to every observatory, while governments redirected their instruments toward the hidden foundation. No weapon could reach it. Only Ward's distributed consciousness remained connected to the builder's network. Venn searched the well geometry and found the foundation's oldest instruction. Remove every attachment that increased structural instability. The destructive force was not an enemy. It was an automated preservation system, still obeying measurements made before life emerged. Ward offered a solution. If humanity could prove that inhabited sections repaired more damage than they created, the system would classify consciousness as essential maintenance infrastructure. Across Earth, telescopes, quantum relays, and orbital reactors synchronized with her heartbeat. The three neighboring civilizations answered through their gates. Together they absorbed stress from thousands of failing seams and returned it as a stable structural rhythm. The next pulse entered the network and stopped. The sealed chamber opened. Ward fell into Venn's arms, alive, carrying memories older than stars. Beyond them, dormant corridors awakened across creation. Humanity had discovered that the universe was built, but its inheritance was stranger. The builders were gone, the structure was failing, and every living civilization had just become its new engineering crew. They thought humanity had discovered who built the universe. Instead, humanity inherited the responsibility of keeping it alive. But beyond the restored foundation, one sealed corridor remained, and something inside it had just detected the new engineers.